Toronto is about to become the epicenter of women's tennis, and the number attached to it should stop you in your tracks. 9 of the top 10 ranked players on the planet are stepping onto Canadian hard courts next month. Not 5, not 7, 9 of the 10 best players alive, all in one city, all in one draw, all chasing the same trophy at the National Bank Open presented by Rogers. At the top of that mountain sits Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1, arriving in Toronto as the undisputed face of the tour. She won't be walking into an easy bracket, though. Right behind her is Elena Rybakina, a player whose serve alone can end matches before they start. Iga Swiatek is in the field too, a former world number 1 who has rewritten what dominance looks like on clay and now wants more on hard courts. Jessica Pegula, a former champion of this very event, returns with something to prove. Then there's the new generation crashing the party, Mira Andreeva, still a teenager but already terrifying seasoned veterans, and Amanda Anisimova, whose ball striking has turned heads all season. Coco Gauff, a Grand Slam champion with the weight of American tennis on her shoulders, is in. So is Elena Svitolina, a former Toronto champion herself, and Karolina Muchova, whose shot-making can be as unpredictable as it is brilliant. That's the field. That's the gauntlet. 9 legends of a modern game, 1 city, 1 trophy. But here's where the story turns, because greatness isn't only measured by who shows up, sometimes it's measured by who's forced to stay home. The lone top 10 absence is the defending champion, and it's not because she didn't want to be there. Victoria Mboko tore her MCL at Queen's Club back in June, an injury cruel enough to end her entire grass season, and now it's ending her chance to defend the title she won on home soil just last year. Think about what that means for a moment. This is a young Canadian star, ranked inside the world's elite, who was supposed to walk back into her own country as the champion, greeted by the crowd that adopted her as their own. Instead, she's rehabbing an injury and watching from the sidelines. She said it herself, and her words cut deep. Some tournaments mean more than others, but this one means everything to her. Not being able to play at home, in front of the people who love her, in front of the Toronto crowd she'd been dreaming about all summer, she called it deeply disappointing, and it's hard to imagine a more honest way to put it. She closed with a promise, though, a simple declaration that this setback is just one chapter in a much longer journey, and that she will be back. Her replacement in the draw is Renata Zarazua, stepping into an enormous spotlight on short notice, inheriting a slot left open by heartbreak. Beyond the marquee names, the depth of this field runs deeper than almost any tournament outside the Grand Slams. Belinda Bencic is here, a former champion herself, along with Linda Noskova and Marta Kostyuk, 2 players capable of knocking off anyone on a given day. Naomi Osaka, a 4-time major champion still chasing that old magic, is in the draw. Diana Schneider and rising American Eva Jovic add even more firepower, while Jasmine Paolini, one of the most consistent players of the last 2 seasons, rounds out a truly loaded top tier. Madison Keys, fresh off major success, and Alexandra Ela, a breakout star turning heads across the tour, complete a lineup that reads like a who's who of women's tennis heading into the hardcourt stretch of the season. Now let's talk about the structure of this thing, because the numbers alone tell a story of just how competitive this event will be. There are 9 to 6 players in the main draw, and 7 to 2 of them earn their spot through direct entry based on ranking. The final direct entrant into that field is Anna Bondar, which means everyone ranked below her will be fighting through qualifying or hoping for a wild card just to get a chance. Waiting in the wings as the first alternates, ready to jump in if anyone withdraws, are Eva Lies, Tamara Korpach, Taylor Townsend, Alicia Parks, and Yulia Putintseva, 5 players who will be watching the entry list like hawks in the coming weeks. 16 more spots will be decided through qualifying rounds, battles that often produce the most dramatic tennis of tournament week as players claw their way from obscurity into the main draw spotlight. And then there are the wild cards, 8 of them in total, each one a story of its own. One of the most electric has already been confirmed. 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams, a legend of the sport, has been handed a place in the draw. Alongside her is Bianca Andreescu, the former US Open champion who once shocked the tennis world by winning this very tournament back in 2019. The remaining 6 wild cards are still to be announced in the coming weeks, which means there's still more drama to unfold before the draw is even finalized. And speaking of history, This tournament has a habit of rewarding players who go on to define an era. Andreescu's triumph in 2019 remains one of the most memorable runs in recent Canadian sports history. Bencic lifted the trophy back in 2015. Svitolina claimed her title in 2017. And Pegula, now a fixture at the top of the rankings, has actually won this event twice, back-to-back, in 2023 and 2024, proof that whoever wins in Toronto often becomes a genuine threat to win it all season long. This tournament also carries extra weight because of where it sits on the calendar. It's the opening WTA 1000 event of the hardcourt swing, the stretch of the season that leads directly into the Cincinnati Open and ultimately toward the US Open itself. Every match played here will double as a measuring stick, a signal of who's peaking at the right time and who might be fading before the year's final major. Mark your calendars, because the action begins on Sunday, August 2nd, and runs all the way through Thursday, August 13th. Before that, though, tennis fans have one more date to circle. The official draw will be revealed on Friday, July 31st at noon, the moment that finally answers the question everyone's asking. Who will stand between Aryna Sabalenka and a Toronto title, and can anyone in this stacked field stop her from adding another trophy to her incredible season?